G'day everybody, how are you going today? It is so good to see you. And here we are in Lefkada. And as you can see, I am embracing the Greek island look. In this episode, we're going to talk about a couple of things. Firstly, new firmware for the Nikon Z8. It is 3.10. The fact that the official Nikon ZR page teased cinema lenses already. What? That's so exciting. And I want to talk about the fact that Nikon has just put out so many firmware updates for all of the Z cameras. And I do hear a lot of people complain, that they haven't got quite what they wanted. It's a really complex endeavor putting out firmware for one camera, let alone how many do we have now? 10 or 11, 12, something like that in the Z range, because we are still getting firmware updates, smaller and more incremental bug fixes and Wi-Fi adjustments and compliance, but we're still getting those for the older cameras, the original launch cameras like the Z6, Z7, Z6 II, Z7 II, Z5, Z50, and so on. And this is pretty amazing. So I just want to talk about firmware in general and the fact that we're spoilt by Nikon. And you will be surprised how recently all of these cameras have been updated. All right, let's get into it. Okay, we're going to start with firmware 3.10 for the Z8. Amazing, because we only got 3 not that long ago, had a lot of features in it. There were some compatibility issues with some third-party lenses, and so very quickly, I think it was within 2 weeks, 15 days, we got 3.01. Now this is 3.10. I don't know, something like a month later. And it has one major feature in it that some people are going to be over the moon about, and it has 2 bug fixes which are extraordinarily obscure. Fantastic to see that Nikon is fixing those. Why not? The one major feature is no blackout with HDMI when you stop recording. Now, this is something that I noticed, and the thing about HDMI recorders is they react to the camera basically blacking out. And the fact that this is now removed, as they did with the Z6 III 2.0 update, which was just a few weeks ago, they've now deemed this important enough to bring it out on its own in this 3.10 update. So for people who shoot video, use their Z8 for video, this is absolutely fabulous. I'm pleased that this has arrived with this camera. This is awesome. Let's talk about this teaser that Nikon ZR official has put up on their Instagram page. We've got silhouettes of 4 lenses. They all seem to be pretty much the same height, pretty much the same size, I suspect, and I would also suspect that they have the same filter thread size. How cool is that? This is the thing about cine lenses. You can often, especially if they are manual lenses, which I think there's a fair chance they might be, but they might not. Because if you think about the recent 35-1.4 and the 50-1.4, they are very similar sizes. So is it possible that they're going to give us something like, I don't know, a 24, a 35, a 50, and an 85, all the same size, all the same filter thread, and all with the cog wheels or cog teeth to allow them to be driven by focus motors and remotely focused that way? My guess is they certainly will be cine-style lenses from that perspective. I think they will be very similar sizes, which is something we commonly see with cinema lenses. And, well, why would Nikon be teasing this so quickly after the launch of the ZR? That is to say to us and the industry, we're serious. Z Cinema is not going to just sit still, which seems to be very widely positively reviewed. There are a few niggles here and there, which, I'll touch on actually, because it's interesting to me that people are talking about the HDMI when Small Rig have made a fantastic cage that already mitigates that. And this is such a small camera. If you want to put an external monitor on it, then a cage makes perfect sense. If you want a top handle, then that's coming. And if you want XLR to digital 32-bit, all of this is coming. So you're getting all of these things that you need. And of course, that red codec, Matti Haapoja said there's just absolutely no question about the 6K Red being better than the FX3. ZR is rolling through the world. It's creating quite a storm. It's obviously very different and much cheaper. It's half the price, essentially, almost, of the FX3, and almost half the price of the C50, which I'm wondering, it's arrived, and whether it's a little bit dead on arrival because of the pricing and much larger size and no in-body image stabilization. Just opened up the aperture there a little bit because we're getting dark, the beautiful setting sun behind me. I know that cinema operators don't always want IBIS. Of course, you can turn IBIS off in this camera, so you have a choice. Do you want to be more run and gun and have it on, or do you want to be on a gimbal or a crane or whatever else and turn it off? That's fine. You have a choice, and this is what it's all about to me. You have a choice, whereas with the C50, you do not have that choice. And when you compare it to the FX3, well, it has no internal RAW. The best it can do is H.265 4K versus the 6K full frame Red RAW 12-bit, fully editable like a RAW file. So I've used the beta version of the Red software, and yes, you can absolutely change your ISO, change your exposure, and of course change your color temperature, along with grading and all sorts of other features that are within this app. Some people have said it's hard to use. It's not hard to use, you just have to get used to it, that's all. And once you get used to it and understand it, it's a really powerful tool for working with your RAW files. And let's just think about it. Canon, for example, drop you to a 12-bit RAW in stills when you're shooting silently. So the Sony A1, I'm not sure about the A1 II, dropped you to something like a 13 point something bit file, again for stills, when you were going for those faster frame rates above 20 frames per second. So even in stills, the camera manufacturers, some of them are very happy to have 12 and 13-bit files. So the idea of having a 12-bit RAW video file that can go up to 60 frames per second in 6K in a camera that's $2,199 USD and other great pricing around the world. So there we have it. This is a very compelling camera. I'm really looking forward to getting hold of my copy. October 10th is when this camera ships. That is when I will have mine. And well, there's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot to show, because it's a really powerful and compelling device. Now, quickly, I want to talk about, when was your Z camera last updated? Because it might be more recently than you think. Now, of course, if it is an older camera like a Z6, which is, where are we now? It's 7 years old, basically. It was around this time that they were announced in 2018. That is a long time ago. But I want to share with you how recently all the cameras have been updated. The Z9 is the oldest at 155 days, Z50 at 147, ZFC at 147, Z30 at 133, Z7 at 127, Z6 at 127, Z6 II at 107, Z7 II at 107, Z5 at 99, ZF at 85, Z52 at 85, Z5 II at 85, Z6 III at 21, and Z8 at 0 because we just got one. And of course, well, the ZR is at 1 and it's not released yet. So technically it is at 0 as well. This is amazing that we're talking 150 days, 150 days, 155 days is the longest since we've seen an update in any of these cameras. So I'm not sure we should complain. Now, yes, some of these are bug fixes and some of these are major updates, but it is still attention coming to your camera, ensuring that it's compliant and working correctly. This is great stuff. And I have to thank a reader and commenter that I see on Nikon Rumors, and his name is Mike Gallos, for maintaining and collecting this data. So a personal thanks from me to you, Mike, for maintaining this data. I've seen you do this before. I think it's really useful information to keep. And yes, it might be surprising to everybody watching this that the oldest is 155 days since the recording of this. Nikon continue to thrive. I'm super excited about the fact that we are being teased about cine lenses. We do see 4 in this image. Does this mean we will get all 4 at once? Because it's being teased, this makes me think, just like they teased the Z9, that, you know, they might be 3 to 6 months away, anywhere in there. I could also see an announcement potentially at the end of the year, roughly November, late November, December. I definitely know nothing about these lenses, but I think this is a great move signaling Nikon Prime Z cinema lenses are on the way. And I think we saw an article from Keiji Oshii, who is the new CEO of RED, talking about lenses being created for the Z mount. So these will be lenses that, of course, are applicable to the new Raptor XE, the other Z mount RED cameras, and of course now to the ZR. Very exciting stuff. I'd love to know what you think about all of these developments. Are you excited to see 3.1 for your Z8? Have you bought yourself a ZR, and will you be looking at Nikon cinema glass, or will you stick with the amazing lenses that we already have? Like this we're shooting on here. This is the Z6 III and the 50mm 1.8. And you can see the beautiful view down the street here. You might be able to just see the water shimmering in the bottom of frame there. We're at the harbour. It's a beautiful spot. More coming soon. All right, bye for now.